Hi there, Kim Carter here, and it's time for another episode of Babblicious, the series where I talk to you off script about things that I like. I'm continuing in my little mini-series where I talk about other ASMR artists that I love. So, without further ado, today's episode is Why I Love Aussie Ben. So I've done a couple of these now, but I feel like today's episode is going to be a little bit different and a little bit unique with the story of it. So, I discovered Ben, I'd say probably fairly early on in my ASMR roleplay journey, when I was comfortable branching out from Cardlin to experience other voices. I certainly did discover Ben and check him out immediately. But the thing here is that with a name like Aussie Ben, obviously the guy is Australian, right? But the thing is, as an American with American ears, I think that the voice that I was expecting when I clicked on his videos was somebody like Hugh Jackman, or Russell Crowe, or Nicole Kidman. I mean, for God's sake, my godparents are Australian, and my parents are not from this country, so I thought my ear was pretty well tuned to be able to hear an Australian accent. And I was wrong. Now, let me just preface all of this by saying there is absolutely nothing wrong with Ben's accent. It is just a different kind of Australian accent that I never in my life had heard before. So I'm just going to talk about a little bit about what that journey was like for me, because I find it fascinating, but I'm not disparaging it in any way, shape, or form. We all have different voices and different accents, and it's amazing, and I love it. I love learning things about accents and dialects and trying to take them apart and things like that. I don't have any training in that area. I like listening to people who do because I find it fascinating. So, now that we've got all of that out of the way, let me go back to my story here. Okay, so I checked out Ben's videos, and I don't remember what the first one I listened to was. It was probably one of his more rescue-themed ones because that's what I like listening to. And I was just really surprised by this unique Australian accent that I had never heard before. If you have not listened to Ben, you actually might want to pause my video, click on one of the videos of his that I have linked below, just so you know what I'm talking about, and you know that I'm not exaggerating or being crazy here. It's really different from what you've heard probably if you're from the West like me in media, I swear. Okay, so go listen to it for a second, and then you're going to know what I'm talking about, and then come back and listen to me, and then you're going to go back and listen to Ben some more because he's awesome. Okay, let's get back to what we're not getting paid for. So, Ben's accent was so different for me that my brain needed extra processing time. It wasn't like I couldn't understand what he was saying, because of course I could. He's speaking English. But it just seemed like it took my brain longer to process it. And when you're listening to something like ASMR roleplay, where you need to be very immersed, that was kind of throwing me off a little bit and wasn't quite working for me. And I was so frustrated because I'm like, but this guy is really good, and I want to listen to him. In previous episodes, I've mentioned the phenomenon of needing to tune your ear. All I'm saying is that I needed a little extra time with Ben. That is all I am saying. And that is only speaking for myself, for my ears, for my Western experience, that my brain needed a little extra time to adjust to Ben's accent. In fact, I have a friend who was in a similar boat to me, and her solution was that she's just like, I'm going to make myself get over this, and I'm going to binge Ben until I am used to his voice. And that's what she did, which I think is great. I decided to go a similar route by just continuing to listen to whatever of his struck my fancy at my own pace and just letting myself get used to it slowly. And I did, and I am so glad that I did because he is so good. And as I said in my episode about Cardlin, Ben is the only one in my mind who matches Cardlin in terms of range and acting ability, and I still stand by that. Ben does it all. He does comfort, he does rescue, he does yandere, he does creepy, he does fantasy, he does real-world stuff. He does it all, and he does it with the exact same level of dedication and skill, no matter what it is. And whenever he is performing, he's in it 110%. He, just like I said about Cardland, he doesn't make those kinds of mistakes where I feel like he dropped out of character, or I think to myself, I've been taken out of it, or I think to myself, I would have worded that differently. Never happens. Ben is so good at what he does. He's good at wrapping you up in a story and just taking you away. So once I finally got my ear tuned to him, I was very, very happy, because then I was able to go and listen to his stuff more regularly. I was a patron for a little while. Hey, I don't have endless money. I can't give all the money to all the artists, otherwise I would. I have to pick and choose. But I have bounced around a little bit, just trying to share the love. And for that perspective, in case you're wondering about being a patron of Ben's, let me just tell you that his rewards are very, very nice. You get early access to his audios, and depending on your level, you also get access to script writing sessions where you get to watch him write and I believe help brainstorm with that. Those were never in a good time for me. I think it was something like 5 a.m. my time when I would be sleeping, trust me. Plus, you get little behind-the-scenes kind of snippets and things like that. He did a temporary reward, which I totally took advantage of, where he was doing commissioned audios. Completely worth it. He did a beautiful job with mine, and he's super communicative as well, which is great. He's very connected to his community, which he calls his tribe. And just for your information, Ben does not do not safe for work audios, so if you're going to join his Patreon thinking that you're going to get that, you will not, which is 100% fine. Not everybody has to do it. I just know that, obviously, especially with the artists I've already talked about, that is one of their Patreon rewards, so just letting you know that's not the case with Ben. But in my opinion, the other rewards still make it worth it. So definitely check it out, because he is a super sweet, down-to-earth guy. From the limited interactions that I've had with him, he's very, very nice. And that's, of course, in addition to being hella talented. And he's another one of those, like the twins, that I don't know how he balances everything that he does, honestly. So kudos to you, man. He's done a lot of collaborations with other artists, including yours truly. On my friend Lex's channel, Alternative Audios, you can hear me and Lex and Ben in her Mind Over Matter series, where Ben plays an evil scientist, and I am his conflicted assistant. Definitely check it out, because it is really good stuff. I hope you enjoy it. So, in a nutshell, I needed a little extra time to get used to Ben's voice, but that is all completely on me. That is not on him in any way, shape, or form. And once I did, I was very, very happy, because his content is top tier, and I think he does an amazing job. Alright, so let me take a little bit of time to talk about some of my favorite audios of his. I really love... I hope I'm going to remember all these titles properly. It's tough. I don't like to be scrolling on my phone while I'm doing this, so I'm going to give them to you off the top of my head and see if I get them right. Paramedic Rescues You is one of my favorites. That's where the listener has been in a car accident, and Ben is a paramedic who takes care of them. And that, I just love that kind of audio. I eat it up. I did enjoy his Bodyguard series. That was actually probably one of the first things of his that I listened to. So that is really good stuff. And there's going to be more to that series coming, so that's very exciting. I did very much enjoy his longer werewolf series. That was, man, I binged that. Like, I listened to that over a couple of days, I think, like while I was like doing chores or something, and it was just really nice to just feel like I could be totally taken away to another world, really. It was a really nice experience. Two of his newer series that I'm really enjoying, Pirates and Damsels, I really like that, and Superhero Boyfriend. That is really good stuff. Especially the latest episode just had like such a light, humorous feel to it. I thought it was fantastic. There's a couple of other sort of slice of life, hurt, comforty ones that I like. The one where the listener falls in the shower, and the one where the listener faints. And there's a new one he just did where it's like saved by a YouTuber, so listener faints again, but this time he's sort of like as Ben, rescuing you a little bit, which is fun. And the last one that I think I'll mention is, oh, I forgot the title of it. I'm sorry. It's like shushing you, comforting you, something like that. And it's just one where the listener comes home from work and is crying, and it's super, super comforting and tender. In fact, so much so that the first time I listened to it, I kept having to pause it because it was mashing my hurt comfort buttons so intensely that my reaction was so intense that I couldn't take it. I'm like, wait, whoa, stop. Oh God. Okay. I just needed a moment to soak it in. It was so achingly perfect for me that it was overwhelming. So I really do love that one a lot. I don't know if Ben has paramedic experience or anything, because I feel like when he does those kinds of audios, they always sound super realistic. Or maybe his girlfriend does or something. I don't know. Or family or whatever. Because they just sound super real. So I don't know if he has that experience, or if he's just really good at research, but it sounds completely real, and sometimes that's really nice, right? Obviously, this is all fantasy, but when it's real world stuff, sometimes it's nice that it's grounded. I almost forgot to mention, what's one thing that Ben does that makes me giggle unintentionally? And here, I'm kind of laughing in anticipation. I gotta give it to this sound that he makes that I think is meant to be, well, I know it's meant to be like a huh sound, or a huh or a what sound kind of combined together, so that it just comes out as what? And it does tend to make me giggle every time that I hear it. It's adorable. Don't stop doing it, Ben. It's great. Alright, so I think that about wraps up what I wanted to say. And Ben, if you are listening to this, thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for my commission and being so generous and awesome, and I just think that you're great. Okay, so I have one more episode of Babblicious planned that's about ASM artists, and that's going to be where I'm basically going to give some shout-outs to the remaining guys I kind of have on my list that I'm not going to dedicate a whole episode to simply because I haven't listened to enough of their stuff. So the next one is going to kind of be like ASM Artist Roundup, if that makes sense. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you check out Ben and his work and his Twitter and his Patreon because he's awesome. So thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next time.